unless there's a specific way to start it off, I was just going to kind of like introduce this and kind of just talk about what we were going to talk about tonight. And I wanted to kind of get like a feel about just kind of like what we had in mind for like ourselves and what our vision was for this. So, um, first of all, gentlemen, thank you for being here. Um, so this mastermind was kind of born from me talking with Chris and telling him how this year I've declared that I wanted to. The tangible thing that I've declared is I wanted to start a podcast. Now Chris has, and he can talk more about it, but he can talk more about his experience and his kind of, I guess, CV about this. But he has experience with a podcast already called The Kick-Ass Dad, which is pretty successful. I don't know how many listeners do you have for that?
We were getting 10,000 downloads a month and in 120 countries.
So
It's at that point you begin to the ability to monetize your podcast, which means publishers or advertisers and stuff are willing to give you money to have a commercial on your show, and it's at that point that it can become pretty lucrative.
So something for me, like, I know, like, this is like a passion project of mine, but in no way am I opposed to making some Skrilla off of it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously,
Right.
so this is something that is something fun that we can do, or something fun that I can do and would like to do, and something that could potentially eventually, make a little extra side cash. I mean, I think it's kind of I think this is like the win-win here. So Chris's expertise comes in with helping us by answering questions and helping us develop our ideas to a point where we can reach a listener base where advertisers are interested in promoting with us. So,
well, let me jump in real quick right here, because what I've done in the past is, so I had my own podcast, but what we did learn going to that point, we learned all this stuff, and we're like, man, we should start a podcast mastermind where we teach people how to do this. And we helped launch 12 podcasts within that mastermind. We ran that for about a year and a half, and to this day, about 5 of those 12 are in like the number 1 in their category. So, and every single one of the podcasts that we launched were in the new and notable section for the first 90 days. So that means 12 of them got into that new and notable section, and 5 of them stayed in that top section after that 90 days is up. And what that's all about is iTunes gives you a window where you're considered new, and that's a 90-day window. And so you basically have that 90 days to grow your audience as fast as possible, because iTunes is going to highlight you as a podcast. So one of the things that we do is we try to help, or that I do, is try to help you to get everything that you need to go live, and be in that new and noteworthy spot, so that you can stay there when those 90 days are up. So help you build, make sure that you have a strong content, make sure that you have a category or a group of pre-recorded shows, so that when you launch, you're not launching with one show that somebody can listen to that one show and go, nope, I don't like it, or yes, I do like it. You want to launch with 5 or 6 shows so that people can go through and listen to and have a feel for what it is that your show is about. And it's at that point that person's going to decide, I'm going to keep them in this podcast in my podcast app, or I'm going to delete it, right? What that also does is it gives you an opportunity. So if you have one listener go and listen to 6 of your shows, you just got 6 downloads off of one listener.
Yeah.
So that's going to give you that ramp that you need to get out there and get noticed while iTunes is putting you up in that new and notable section. So that's what's really going to help you catch those and stay in that area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Guys.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions? Do you guys have any specific questions as it relates? And then that will help kind of guide what my portion will be. Otherwise, the idea of what the mastermind is a place for us to all come, chit chat. So like maybe we'll highlight Carlo one day, and Carlo will talk about his podcast, his idea, kind of what he's thinking format wise, and we'll just have a chat about Carlo's idea. And then now when I did this, I did it once a week, and I had certain people show up on certain weeks of the month, and that was nice because it helped. You have out of the 12, you might have 4 that show up for this one, 4 that show up for another one, and 4 that show up for the other one. And so throughout the month you kind of have a different variety of groups. So people might not be able to make it today. That's fine, because next week we'll have a different group that'll have a different conversation, and everybody will get something from that. What I'm here to help offer is my insight when it comes to your format for your show, and getting you, like, introducing you to the tools that you're going to need for recording, the type of mics that you're going to want for picking up high quality sound. Which actually, if you give me a second, how do I sound to everybody right now?
Great.
Sound okay?
Decent.
Okay. Now how do I sound?
Better.
A little better, a little more clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did there is I made a small adjustment on Google Hangouts so that it's taken out all of this like background noise that you might have been hearing before, and you should hear a real crisp, clear sound of my voice. And what's weird about that is, like, I'm not even facing my mic, right? It's over here. So, and it's about 2 feet from my face. You don't have to have it right in your mouth. You don't have to be, like, talking right into your mic, in order for it to pick up your voice. So, it depends on the mic you get. This one's multi-directional. There's switches on the back, you can see, that allow me to change the pickup angle of where it's picking up the voices from. So let's say I want to do in a room with multiple people. I'm going to change the direction in which the mic's going to be listening. It has, I think, like 5 built-in mics to it. So the direction, and you can look it up online, that's the Blue Yeti. That's the best podcast. If you want to hook directly up to USB, so you're going to hook right up to your laptop or your computer, this is the best mic to get. Carlo, I know you were saying that you wanted to hook yours up to a sound mixing board, so you're going to have a different type of mic. Or you'll just use a different kind of hookup, because this one still might work.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get into, like, what everybody's looking to do, what everybody's ideas, and what we're all wanting to do. I know for myself, I wanted to have like a radio station, essentially like a mixer with all the different stuff like plugged in, because I'll be doing music and talking and maybe guests and things like that. So like, so I wanted something a little bit more complex, but some people maybe just want to talk, or some people want to just, have like a much simpler setup, and it's totally possible to, like, have like a USB mic and just, put MP3s together or whatever. So, it kind of depends on, what you're looking for and what you want. But that's something that we'll kind of get to from person to person. We'll kind of be able to we'll go over like equipment. We'll go over, like we talked about before, about the about formatting and chit-chatting about ideas and like what may work and what may not work. So I might have like a great idea and I tell you guys, and you're just like, this is why you may not want to do that, you know? And so I get to hear that feedback, and you have the opportunity to do that. And then when it comes to you, like, you get to do the same thing. You get to present ideas and kind of, I guess, plead your case or talk about why that might really work, or why that's something that you want to do, and we get to talk about why that may or may not work. So I really want
Well,
this to be like an interactive, like, you know, kind of thing.
yeah, the purpose of a mastermind is just to have everybody kind of putting your 2 cents in.
Yeah,
So it's not necessarily like, oh, that podcast idea is a bad idea, but it's more about like, okay, how can you build that or format it to where it makes sense to a listener, and then it also makes sense to achieving the goal in which you're looking to accomplish,
yeah,
right? So if you're looking to jump on and monetize this and have this as an extra source of income, you want to get moving on that. You know, like there's certain things that you're going to need to get in place to
sure.
monetize it. If you're looking just like you were saying, Carlo, you just want to start a show and have fun, and if eventually it ends up getting to a point where you can monetize it, great. But still, to have that potential, we're going to want to make sure that we do some groundwork, so that your show is the best that it can be.
Absolutely.
And having these guys on the show as well, giving feedback, is going to be phenomenal because, we say, hey, what do you guys think of this idea? And go, I like that, but if I were to do it, I would think maybe tweaking this or tweaking that. And as the podcast developer, it's my show. I'm just going to take the feedback as is. It's just feedback, and whatever resonates with us is up to us to decide what we want to take from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess that kind of. Do you guys have any questions?
I got a couple about the mics. I guess, do you know if there's a good mic out there that's Bluetooth maybe? I imagine there probably is. Are they?
I don't know of any good Bluetooth mics for podcasting.
Okay.
Are you looking for something to like record for like your phone or from your laptop, and like just to be like wireless?
Yeah. Well, really, probably the best piece of equipment I've got is this iPad right here that I'm, on right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's why I was looking for the Bluetooth setup. But there's a number of different sound guys here in town and music studios left and right. I can probably find something and maybe even be able to rig something up that'll patch into Bluetooth.
I want to say that there's a way to like I think that I want to say that they make mics, because I feel like there are things that you can attach into the power source.
Right.
They make like mics or they
Okay.
make headphones or whatever that like plug into the power source of the, that have the,
Yeah, I got you.
I've actually done a little research on that. Just to let you know that there is a Bluetooth mic. I haven't really, I'd never decided to use it. I was looking at doing some video off of my camera, off of my cell phone, and in the Bluetooth mic to pick up on that. I haven't done much more than that. I do know that they make them. I do know that they're out there for the iPad. And Carlos, that there is a that you can plug into the Lightning port with mics. On mics, they do definitely make that, and that's actually a better way to receive it. Because Bluetooth can introduce a lag.
And that's exactly what I was going to get at there, Stacy. Is that if you want to have high quality recordings, I wouldn't recommend that. They do have a mic. You know how you get those mics that you clip onto your shirt?
lapel
They're
mics.
yeah, like a lapel mic. I had one of those, and I actually gave it to one of my buddies. But you clip it on to your shirt, and then that'll plug right into your phone jack on your iPad. And that's a high quality recording, because that's going to be straight to. You're not going to have any interference or feedback coming from that traveling Bluetooth.
That's
not to say you can't. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do that or that it's going to be garbage, because technology may have advanced enough that'll work just fine, but I haven't. I don't want to say yeah, do it, and then have it be shitty.
I'll check into that too because I was wanting to make some instructional videos for qigong, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. I thought about getting some like Bluetooth headphone set with microphone as well. But what you're telling me with that, if I can plug it into my phone, then that's going to be perfect.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I have.
There are all sorts of microphones I know that you can. Yeah, because I didn't even think about that. Because yeah, remember like if you get like any sort of smartphone now, they come with the headphones that have the mic on there, so there is a capability to kind of go two ways with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those work well. I'm looking for my Bluetooth headset because I do have a Bluetooth headset that might work well. Also, it only goes up to like 30 feet. I think my son has it in his room, but at any rate, yeah, they go around your neck, and then the headphones clip on and off, and
Right.
that might work.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Oh, and Carlo, there was a question that you had asked about earlier about mics. Just to let you know that Yeti Pro, I have the Yeti Pro of what Chris has there,
Uh-huh.
version, and that will go into a mixing board as well as a USB. So you can,
Okay,
so you
cool.
can use it on both, right?
yeah,
Awesome.
there's a version that you can use both.
Well, I mean, so I think that like maybe we can spend a week or whatever and just talk about equipment and kind of geek out about like what we found and like what we think may work best for what we want. So if like Josh, you're looking at doing like qigong like instructional videos or videos about I don't so
It's
we have
one
to
of the
talk
things
about
I'm
ideas.
yeah, I'm trying to make a program that I can be able to share with people,
Uh-huh.
and that's a little bit different than the podcast, but it kind of links with the podcast as well.
It's about recording and creating a program that would be good for people. I think that your idea would fit just fine in this mastermind.
Right
I
on.
think we can all shift just a little bit when relating to when we're talking about yours specifically. I don't see why we couldn't do that. So
That's cool. That's something I'm getting on sooner rather than later.
awesome, great. Well, I'd like to, and Stacy, I don't know what you're looking to do or what your ideas are either, but I'm looking to do, in the meantime, and then probably in the next like month or month and a half or even 2 months, I'm looking to just kind of bat around ideas, bat around just kind of formats, kind of allow ourselves to kind of get to a point when we're like Chris was saying, like we want to have like a good format, a good structure, so that when we go to record, we can knock out 5 or 6 and be able to upload with that, and not maybe run right away and if into something where we start putting it together and we're just like, hey, I got it, now I want to put it up, and it's like, well, hold on a second, let's make sure that it's the best that it can possibly be, and then you're sitting there like oh shit, well, I just put all this work into it, and it's like, yeah, no, it's great, but like let's like tweak, let's like refine it, so like let's try to figure out how we can refine it to a point where that when we do go to record, when we are ready to like produce our first episode and our second episode and our third episode, we have a formula that works for us and a formula that works for how we want to do it and the things that we're putting together. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight is I want to find out what is a good time to do this every week. I'm fine with Thursdays at 8:00. I don't know if this is if this
Yeah,
works for everybody else.
that's good for me.
We can do that.
Now, this is what the understanding that, like Chris said earlier too, this is what the understanding that sometimes you may not be able to make it. Like, obviously, like if you can, would be really great to have you there because your feedback is invaluable, and we want to hear from you, and we want to be able to share with each other because feedback is really great, and being able to support one another is just something that I think is really great about this whole idea behind a mastermind. So 8:00 every Thursday. If you can't make it, no problem. If you can, great. There were several other people that were trying to or have that expressed interest. So maybe next week we'll be able to get them in here. I'll send them a summary of this week.
Yeah,
so maybe they'll
I'm recording this, and I think it would be wise for us to record all the episodes moving forward,
Okay.
so that, if you do miss a week and you're like, well, let me see if there was anything that they were talking about that, because and here's the thing that I found in my masterminds in the past is we might be talking about Carlo's podcast, but that sparks some idea in in Stacy's head that he's like, oh man, I didn't even think about that, like, and then he goes off and he starts brainstorming some new ideas on his show, right? So it's beneficial just to sit and watch these recorded shows. Or if I'm going over, how to record Google Hangout, if you're doing an interview or something, that's going to be a big one that people are going to want to, make sure that they check out, right? So,
Yeah.
Or starting a blab, that a lot of people don't even know what blab is. So, how do you start one? How do you get into that? Well, let me show you. And how those all tie into podcasts is if podcasts are just MP3, so that's an audio version of this, right? An audio version of whatever it is that you recorded. But that doesn't mean that you can't pull the audio from a video. So this is a video right now, but if I wanted to, I can download the MP3 of this and upload it into a podcast and say Podcast Mastermind, and launch this as a podcast. In the same right, you could do a blab, which blabs are similar to this, except for you have 4 heads that can talk at a time, whereas this one you can have up to 10. So now you can have unlimited viewers on this, and same with blab, you can have unlimited viewers, but you can only have 10 people talking here, and on blab you can have 4. But you can record both. You can pull audio from both. So that's another thing. If you want to get a more of a group discussion going for your podcast, maybe a private blab or a private Google Hangout would be a good opportunity for you to do that, because then you can record it, pull the audio from it, and you have everything that you need. And then if you want to repurpose the video for something else later, you have that resource, right?
Got it. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about were just some ground rules, and Chris, Joshua or Stacy as well. If you feel like I've forgotten something, I'd like your input. Ground rules, the ones that I have here: stay present for the duration of the meeting is number 1. So when you sign in, please stay present. Block off the time as needed. We will. You will be given a heads up on how long these will be. So they'll probably be about an hour. If for some reason we go over, we'll try to make sure that is already scheduled in. Maybe if we're gonna talk about 2 people because one person is trying to reach a deadline, or this mastermind grows to a point where we want to try to do 2 people, then maybe we'll extend it to an hour and a half meetings, but we'll stick with an hour for now. So please make sure that you're present and you block off this hour time to do this, just out of respect for one another. The second thing I have on the ground rules is wait your turn to speak, and please be mindful about when other people are speaking. There will be an organizer. It'll be either Chris or myself that will be kind of the ringleader for the mastermind, and we will call on you to speak, so this way we can kind of stay laser and get ideas out before anything is interrupted. Chris, did you have a...
And yeah, let me add to that as well. If you guys look at the left side of your screen, it'll highlight a list of different apps. There's a chat app. So when I type into the chat, So it should come up on the chat. I just typed my name, Chris. You guys should have saw that pop up. Did you see that?
No, because I am on my phone.
Oh yeah, yours won't. You on your phone you won't be able to. Same on the iPads.
Yeah.
So Stacy says holla. But the chat can be a place like if you want to put your hand up, say, can I, you type into the chat, can I go next? And then that'll notify, if I'm on my computer, since I'm on my computer, I can moderate the chat and say, okay, Stacy's going to go next. And so I'll know when there's a good pause to say, hey, Stacy, go ahead and share your thoughts, and we can use the chat there to moderate that.
Perfect. Next up, please don't show up drunk or high. Just that kind of ties in with staying present and being present in this. Just be clear. Yeah.
You can get drunk and high during, but not before.
Right. Don't show up like it, but during, by all means. It takes a little while to kick in. So I don't want to ruin anybody's time afterwards. So. The other thing is be ready to share something if we are ahead of schedule. We want to obviously maximize our time as much as possible. If we need to finish early, we can. But at the same time, if we can, if we do Josh today, and Stacy's like, hey, I got something, I really just got a couple questions on, want a little bit of feedback. If we've got 15 minutes at the end or 10 minutes, why not? Let's try to maximize our time. Always come ready to be ready to share something. And also that kind of keeps us constantly working on it, I think, because, it's easy to kind of put things on the side or on the back burner, but this is something that I know I'm personally very passionate about and something I'm very excited to do. And I hope that you guys involved are also excited, or else you wouldn't be here. So this will keep you motivated on, and it could be a question about oh, I found this mic, what do you guys think? Or I had this idea for this, what do you think? Let's just come with something that we could share, something that we could potentially talk about, and maybe we get to it and maybe we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What other ground rules? No relationships during, no.
we can all date each other. It's cool.
We can all date each other. Any other ground rules that pop up for you guys that you think would be good to just kind of... If we come up with something, we'll add it later to the list.
No, I think you hit it. You did a good job there putting that together. Okay.
And the last thing I wanted to do, because there's not many of us today, let's kind of just real quick give a quick idea of what it is that we want to do. What is it that let's declare what our vision is for this podcast. What is it that we want from this? What is it we want to get out of it? What is it we want to do? What are our ideas? So Josh, you said you wanted to do the Qigong. So why don't you start out? Explain to us what you want to do and why you want to do it, and how can we support you?
That's one aspect of what I want to do, and that's moving up quickly. And there's 18 different exercises I want to put on video and create a program. But really, what I want to do is I want to get a blog started about what it is I'm trying to create with this new business, and I guess everything that I'm moving to in life, and likewise have it develop into a podcast, and then hopefully maybe a YouTube sort of something or other, a 6 or 7 minute long video once a week. But what I'm hoping to be able to do is kind of be able to reach out to a lot of people all at once. I don't have a lot of time in my days, and I've realized that it's tricky for me to make a lot of connections with people. So I figured I'd be able to connect with a lot of people all at once if I was able to let them know what was going on and like what it is, you know, kind of making happen this week. You know what I'm saying? So like that's really my goal.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm making notes too to put on my board so that I can follow up with you on the progress. So knowing what you're looking to create, there's a number of different things that we can do with that. So if you want to have a blog or a vlog, video blog, right?
Uh-huh.
Those are great. If you want to have them 7 minutes or something, that's totally cool. But if you wanted to do that in a podcast format, so you take the video and you make it into an audio and you have it be 7 minutes long, you're going to have to record one every single day.
Okay. How long?
You know what I mean? Because
typically how long is a podcast?
20 minutes to an hour.
Okay, cool.
On average.
Yeah.
Okay.
We found 20 minutes was really good for people that didn't have a lot of time, but 40 minutes was really good for people that had a commute to work.
Okay.
So, we tried to keep it right in that half-hour range. We try to keep it more than 20 minutes, but less than 40, just because we found that kind of hit the majority of your demographics. But it's really, that doesn't mean that it has to be any of those things.
Sure.
John Lee Dumas, one of the biggest podcasters out there, does an hour show like every single day. So, you can. There hasn't been one formula that works and others fail. It just depends on what your material is and how long people want to listen to it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anything can be interesting, I think, if you talk about it the right way or if you format it the right way, and it comes from how you talk about it and how you put it together. So
I had a friend of mine that launched a podcast. Now I didn't have anything to do with it, but it was just on guided meditations, and he had like 12 different guided meditations on his thing, and he launched those 12, and that was it. He never launched a new show after that. But he was getting 12 to 15,000 downloads a month because people really liked his meditations, and so you'd have people listen to that same meditation every morning.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. If you get a few hundred listeners that love this song that you wrote that you put on your that you put out as a podcast, your new album is now a podcast, not an album on iTunes. You might end up getting a crap ton of downloads for that one song, and that be enough to monetize your podcast that is your album, right?
Wow.
So something to think about.
So there are options for you, Josh, for us to like kind of explore. Maybe next week when we start talking, I'll send out an email this weekend about what we can what next week we'll be talking about. It might just be equipment. It might just be formatting. Maybe we're gonna pick somebody and kind of go with it. I haven't really decided, and I guess Chris and I will probably talk about it later. I'm assuming about what episode 2 of this mastermind is.
gets to look like.
Gets to look like, yeah. But there are options for you, and I think that I'm glad that you came to this tonight to kind of get an idea of what's gonna turn up for you in your videos. So I think this is gonna be great, and it'll be a challenge for us too to think outside the box with videos as well.
Cool. Thanks, Charlie.
Stacy.
Yeah. Actually, I've got a couple different ideas. One is that I want to do something all about dancing, in the sense of ballroom dancing or partner dancing. Salsa etiquette, competition, how to pick a good instructor, how to practice, how to get a practice partner, the best how to communicate with your partner when you're having conflict resolution, all those kind of things. And then the other idea I have is actually has been meditation. I do a lot of meditation hypnosis on this on my own, and I would love to put out some meditation podcasts as well.
I want to add an idea onto that, Stacy, is that another thing to think about, and this is something we did with Kick-Ass Dad, is that we did a show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Each show was themed a little differently. So our Monday show was Michael and I, my podcast partner, where we would just kind of talk about some things that we were going through that we had gone through that previous week. Wednesday was an interview with somebody. And Friday we called the jam session, and that was the group of us, there was 4 of us, that we would just get on there and bullshit and kind of talk about in a very, very casual, we had swearing, it was an explicit episode. So my point being that you could definitely have like a show a week that you talk about, these different how-tos, and then you could do a show on a Wednesday that's your Wednesday meditation show.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily have to look like 2 separate podcasts. It could be one podcast, but I'm not saying it needs to be that either.
Right.
It's however you see that, but I just want to put that out there that it's not necessarily 2 shows. It could be the same show, just different days of the week or whatever that you release it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make a lot of sense. Makes the mind turn a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of like how some bands, they put out like different sounding albums, and it's just like it's all the same band. It's all this, this could all be, but it just sounds differently, just kind of doing something like a different thing. So, that kind of works under like, for you, Stacy, if you, like Chris was saying, you can do one. It doesn't have to be a different podcast. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. You could just have like these different kind of, facets of the, of the podcast that like, oh, this is what the Wednesday show is like. This is what the Friday show is like.
Yeah.
Because my idea with the
Monday
podcast, and like,
meditation.
the idea in my mind, the idea of a podcast is something that, will always go. How-tos are great, but like once you tell somebody how to do something, it's done. Like in my mind, and this is just my opinion, but like a podcast will carry a theme that you can explore, different ideas, different facets. So like, for example, like my mom is a family law attorney. She specializes in divorce education, and there are so many different areas to explore. Like, she should be doing a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different areas to explore in relationships, in finances, in the legal aspects of things, et cetera, that like there's enough material to just kind of just talk and talk to different people, like, and address their issues and their problems as well. And so you can do, so yeah, I don't know if that makes sense but like
it does.
So it's like, I want to, like, something that I think would be like really cool to like explore and be like the different things about the different dances, and like you can talk about like history, and you can talk about like when it started. I mean, like all that stuff is really interesting if you ask me, and like the different kind of music associated with it, and yeah, I mean, like, and that's like kind of explores like the whole like continue to learn kind of process of it too. So
Yeah, so that could be another facet. So
yeah,
you can have the format for the show could look into like the first 15 minutes you kind of talk about how to, right? So, how do you choose a partner? Today we're going to talk about how to choose a partner, and that becomes a 15-minute segment. Then you have a little break, something that breaks up that segment, and then you go into more to Carlos' point there about maybe getting into like, oh, let me talk about, well, how to pick a partner. did you know some history in dancing? The first partners that danced together in England and back in 1743. I don't know, whatever the hell that could look like. So maybe you do some sort of a history, to dance, whatever. But those are all things that could fall into your format of your show that keep it moving and keep it engaging.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But the truth about podcasting, there is no this is the way that you need to do it. It's all kind of, you play with it, you do what's in your heart, you kind of create what you want and what you want to create, and the fans that are out there that are drawn to what it is that you have to say are going to find you, and they're going to stick around. And I never thought for a million years that starting a Kick-Ass Dad podcast was going to get like any reaction whatsoever. And here I'm like bearing my soul to this mic, like rah, 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 like, putting my story out there, and then I have like 30 emails the next day on, oh my God, Chris, that was amazing. Like, hey, dude, I'm going through the same. What do you think I should do? Hey, I have this issue. Like, whoa! Like, I just bore my soul, and now I have all these people asking me questions and wanting to know all this stuff. And that's, for me, it was like, holy shit, now that I have people coming to me with these questions and what have you, I'm like, I need to go figure out, how I should be answering. They're coming to me with parenting questions. I want to make sure that I'm giving them, like, responsible output, right? Not be like, yeah, no, it's totally okay to hold your kid's head underwater for 2 minutes when they don't listen to you. like I don't even know. Should I be saying this? And then you start those stories in your head, like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I'm saying things like, but that just kind of for me, it was like, I better go figure this shit out. So I went and got life coaching and became a certified life coach. It was like, okay, now I feel like I kind of know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
But I was already doing the show for 3 months before I even took it to that level. So your listeners will definitely give you feedback on what it is that they want to hear. And the other thing is, it's always good to ask them to write you as well. So having some sort of an email or something set up so you can say, hey, if you like the show, write me at, Chris at kickassdad.org, which is what my email was. And it was like, boom. Then that's where you get that feedback.
Awesome. And then, also, setting up blogs and, like a website, could be a WordPress, could be a Tumblr, whatever it is, to kind of, direct traffic to that place so that you can kind of keep things consolidated. People can like download from, your blog or your website, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's something that we'll talk about more later, I imagine. Chris, are you going to be contributing anything show-wise? Anything that you want to work on? Or are you just here for support? And
I'd really like this to be a way for me to support.
Okay.
This is kind of my way to give back to the group. I know I haven't really like shown up as much as I could have, and so I'm just looking for how do I share my skills and talents with the group. This is a good way for me to do that. And I actually talked to Jason and Clayton and who am I thinking of? Wow, this is horrible of me. Anyway, a couple of people about doing a marketing show where we just talk about good marketing practices, specifically for VIP.
Cool.
Or next level. So.
Excellent.
Let me know.
Susie Q.
Susie
I don't
Q.
know why I couldn't think of Susie Q, but yes.
As soon as you said marketing, I thought that's who you were talking about.
It was, but it's been a long day. That's my excuse.
Yeah. So, my show idea is I wanted to do a music radio show. It's based on international music between the 50s and the 79 up to 1980, right? 1979. And the show would be Scarlo Wapita International House of Music. The idea is that the host, myself, would kind of just talk about, it would take you through the different rooms of the house, which would be different eras and countries and styles of music, and you would learn a little bit of information about that artist or about that style and that period and where it was from and why it was important. And then you would kind of explore this infinitely enormous house, infinitely growing house of just strange music, psych music, funk, soul, pop, folk from around the world, from a time when, in my opinion, music was like really, really, really just hitting a renaissance, like hitting like a really great era when Western music was starting to influence cultures from around the world in a really big way. And so I found it like extraordinarily interesting. The show would feature maybe little snippets of things, like a little bit more recent and a little bit older. So like, you know, the Basement Dungeon would have music from like pre-50s, and like New Neighbors would be more recent music, you know? So just kind of running with the theme of like the house, and then but keeping it international and keeping it like strong, and like the idea of you know, influence from, you know, cross-cultural influences. So that's what I wanted to do for mine.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I got like a lot of crazy music here. I was showing, this is just some of the stuff I have just sitting right here next to the computer, but showing Stacy, I got Nigerian Afrobeat. I've got Sarolta Zelatani. She's like the Hungarian Janis Joplin. Got this compilation of pop songs from Italy in the 60s.
Wow.
And here's some garage psych music from Japan.
Holy cow.
And I've got like vinyl, I've got tons of CDs from music from all over the world, and it's just like, one of my dreams was to be a radio DJ, and this is my way of kind of like fulfilling that for myself, and I get to do the music that I like and I want, and I think it's fun.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, for sure. That's going to be awesome, man.
Cool, thank you.
I'm going to listen in for absolutely.
Cool.
The next thing I would say, like, if I had to give like marching orders on like some things to start doing to help you flesh out some of your ideas, is to start recording.
Start recording.
Period. Yes.
Just anything? Just
hit record and just start playing with it, and then go back and listen to it, and then you'll find things that you did that you liked, and you make notes, and then that's going to help you to develop your show better and than anything else that you can do. Is just start recording. A lot of the I was trying to help this older guy. He wanted to start a health show. It was all about it was to add to his business, which he sells health insurance. Through his own he owns the health insurance company. Anyway, so he wanted to have this show that would help, and he wanted to come out and be, you know, new and notable, monetize the whole bit. Well, he sat there and he had this format, and he tried his damnedest to stick to that format, and you know, he was getting mad going through the mastermind because he's like, this format, like, I can't get this format to work. I'm like, well, then throw out the format. just sit and record, see what you come up with, and if it works, it works. And so he basically ended up having, like 3 main things that he wanted to talk about within the podcast. And then he just spoke from the heart and, had those 3 things. As long as he hit them at some point in the podcast, he was happy. And, now he's like, one of the highest or most downloaded podcasts in the health industry, or in the health category. So he did a pretty awesome thing there. But
Cool.
It came about from him recording and getting frustrated with the fact that he wasn't able to stay within his format. So that fleshes out a lot of those problems or opportunities, I guess is a better term, right?
Awesome. Well, can we say that that's the homework for next week?
Absolutely. Just
Okay.
record yourself. And if you want, feel free to send it to me. If it's too big of a file to send in a normal email, you can use WeTransfer. It's just WE transfer.
.com?
Yep. And this will help you to send any files that are 2 gigs or less. So pretty much anything, and it's free. Now there'll be a thing that says, upgrade to 10 gigs. Just skip this, and it takes you to the regular thing. You drag and drop the file, type in the address you want to send it to, and you're good to go. It's super, super simple.
Awesome. Cool.
Yep.
Well, all right. I think and we can record on things like, so I don't know if you're running on Macs or if you're running on PC. I know that if you have a Mac, you can record into GarageBand.
Mm-hmm.
Use what you have. First of all, use what you have, because you don't need anything fancy to record. You can record into GarageBand. If you have a PC, you can download Audacity. Audacity is a free program. It's what is it? You can go to Google and type in Audacity. But yeah, it's free and it's good. So
yeah, that was actually the program I was going to recommend, but I couldn't think of the Audacity.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that called?
Well, whatever.
But yeah, I use that.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I used Audacity before I upgraded to my Mac. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, but whatever recording software you have, whatever you can find for free, will work for this. And if you send it to Chris, I would also love to hear it too. Feel free to send it to me, or we can send it to everybody. Send it to each other.
Yeah.
Would be great, and then we can kind of come back and depending on stuff, we can just we'll figure it. I'll figure it out, and we'll organize it a little bit better. But we can see what works, what doesn't work. How did it feel? What felt right? Did it feel like a good flow? Did you feel lost? How many times did you try? How many more times are you going to try? How many, do you feel like, having more of a structure for yourself is better? Do you need to write an outline? Maybe you're one of those people that can't just freestyle it, and you need to have an outline to look at while you're reading, so you can kind of hit each point in a manner that's going to work for you. So Chris was saying that for this guy, he was getting frustrated because he couldn't stick to his format. Well, maybe that was just for him. Maybe that guy needed to be, to let a little bit loose. Well, if you find yourself rambling too much and kind of getting off topic, maybe you do need to have that kind of format, or that outline or whatever to kind of follow. So just see what kind of works, okay, for you, and then we'll kind of that's what we'll talk about next Thursday, okay?
Any other questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, it's 8:00, so.
You guys think it would behoove us to have a little separate group me, a podcast group me, and that way we could talk about stuff during the week if you wanted to?
Sure, I can set that up.
That'd be cool.
All right.
Right on.
Yeah. Now next week, just so everybody knows, I'm going to be in Salt Lake City So, as long as if we do it 8 o'clock, it'll be 5 o'clock. I'm gonna try to make it on. I might be late.
Okay.
So try to schedule it without me, and then I'll do my best to make it on. Carlo, do you know how to set up a Google Hangout and so that you can record?
No, but I will look into it. I've got the I'm on my phone right now because my internet's not working. But I've got the cable guy coming out tomorrow to take a look at it, and then I'll do the research from there.
Okay. If you want, it's real easy. I can show you. So anytime this week, if you have time. Well, I guess this week's like tomorrow and the weekend.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming on today, and thanks for being here. I'm really excited, and look forward to seeing what everybody creates.